I'm Sarah Gayle Sawanis. I'm originally born in Oregon, and that's really where we came from to come out here.
I moved up to Oregon many years ago and met this lovely lady on Main Street in a little town on the Oregon coast called Toledo.
We were sailors before we came up here. While we're both from Oregon and Washington, we had moved onto a sailboat and lived sailing the Pacific Northwest and British Columbia.
So we didn't have a home port or anything. We just explored really for 5 years. And then at the end of 5 years, we were down in the Puget Sound area around Seattle, explored all of that for the summer, and came up to a little island, only accessible by boat, and started talking about where we were going to go next.
We started making a list of, like, if we're not going to live on the boat, what kinds of things would we want in a place that we were going to live? What kinds of activities would you want to do? What kinds of things in nature or just in sort of the general town area? And we started auditioning towns. Finally, we ended up with kind of like maybe a 500-mile radius kind of area that we liked. We chose Johnstown specifically because all of the other places I think that we were looking at, the towns were larger, maybe had more established things already. So, as we kept looking, this just kept coming up. We found 3 or 4 houses here in Johnstown that we thought would be just really a great experience for us. And even just without knowing people or knowing anything about Pennsylvania, once we came here, we were, I don't know, maybe a bit of an attraction or an oddity, because we were from so far away and had come here without knowing anyone, which is an unusual thing for people in Pennsylvania. We just sort of melted into this really comfortable little community, and we're so happy we chose this.
We had found an island in Canada, way up north, very small, only accessible by ferry, and the people sort of adopted us. And I think we were sort of looking for something like that where you could get to know people and they would want to get to know you. And it was just delightful moving here and finding that.
So when we came here, while we had a list of things that we were hoping would be present in the community, a lot of them that are personal things that you would enjoy doing, you don't really know until you get into a community. I was looking for more opportunities with adult artists who wanted to craft things, who make things together as painters, grow as artists together. And I love plein air painting, which is the act of just taking all of your supplies out into anywhere and painting what's in nature. So I started a program this summer called Painting in the Park, and Gallery on Gazebo downtown offered to sort of host it for us, so people had an ability to come there. But it became a really sort of casual, easy opportunity. It was open to anyone, and it didn't matter your skill level. And it turned out to be a really, marvelous experience for me. I met so many different people, not all painters, but a whole different side of our community here, of people who were looking to get out and try something, or were willing to experiment a little bit with art. Maybe the best benefit of it, it showed people that you could just decide to do something downtown.
I belong to the national organization, American Association of Woodturners, and I was a member of a local chapter on the West Coast, several, but there's not one in Johnstown area, so I started one earlier this year. So we meet once a month and we're having a great time. I'm amazed how much people here are teaching me, how much I'm learning. It's been, I think, a really good give and take. Now that I'm involved in a group, there's so much knowledge here.
We see a lot of possibilities here in Johnstown too for us, for growing the things that we love and the things that we can bring to a new community that weren't here. One of the reasons also that we chose this house and Johnstown is because our hobbies and our passions and the things that we wanted to do that we couldn't do on the boat are possible here. Jonathan's a wood turner, and for me, I'm a painter, particularly in oil paint. The creative side of us was one of the things that we were looking for here, to build sort of like our own little creative complex where we could really invest in the things that we love doing and to have an opportunity to really build a home and build a space where we could do those without restriction.
And I love to fish.
Oh, yes.
Just everything about the wildlife. I've never seen a pike, let alone caught one. The history, which is a big plus for us. And Pennsylvania's, everything is hardwoods for my turning.
So funny little side story, when we first got here, we ordered a big load of wood, and we were like, oh, we're gonna have fire, you know. And Jonathan's out there sorting the wood to stack. And I look out the window and there's 2 piles. And I was like, why 2 piles? He's like, this is all hardwood. And I was like, yeah, okay. He looks at me with this one beautiful little piece and he's like, I could turn this. I was like, uh-oh. So like things like that have just discovered with this marvelous location choice. It supports so much of what we love. You know, the hardwood for him, the scenery, for heaven's sakes, for me as an artist, it's endless. I have a hard time when we go out driving because I'm constantly like, wait, stop, pull over, I want to take a picture, you know?
Did I mention the fishing? We are explorers. We still are. We got here and Sarah talked me into buying a convertible. So we have actually probably driven more miles on the roads in the region, in the area, than most people who have lived here all their life. We will drive off and there'll be a sign saying Pleasantville, and we'll just go that way.
Yeah, it's been a really fun way to explore.
We're really in love with the architecture. We don't see that on the West Coast. We just don't. It's just so many homes everywhere we drive. Downtown, we look up and you're just staring at the edge of a building because it was the craftsmanship that went into that kind of thing. It was just incredible.
Don't you want to be my neighbor is a frequent, you know, sort of call from me to people on the West Coast to come out here and to explore what's here and to look at the possibilities. Because for us, the quality of life, the cost of living, the abilities to do things here are endless. We found our forever home here. You know, I'll never leave this. It's absolutely amazing.
When I talk to or email people on the West Coast, being from there only, I had no idea. I had no idea. I mean, I've told Sarah 1,000 times, if I had known what this was like, we would have moved here a long time ago. It's beautiful. There's water everywhere. There's hills. We are in a very special place here in Johnstown, in this region.
It's magical here.
I tell them they need to visit to see for themselves. You just can't really explain it enough. And yeah, it's incredible.